Good morning, everyone. This is James coming to you from the 10-Minute Trader and Dividends for Cash Flow. We're going to quickly go over this week's stock picks picked up by the Dividend Calculator and the new software that we have. Hopefully, you're used to seeing this software, which you get in your email all the time. I'm going to quickly go over what it is. Our calculator tells us how stock has performed over the last 10 years based on the dividend capturing strategy. Dividend capturing, collect the dividend, we turn around, we sell it after the date of record, collect the dividend, and then sell it for a small profit. This is how well it's performed over the last 10 years. See, some of these look very nice. Okay, you get the stock symbol, stock price, what the dividend is. If I was going to hold it all year round, this is the yield I would capture. The 20-day moving average, how the stock moves on a daily basis. The dividend on steroids, this is the column that tells you those. Double dividend, that's that column, and the dividend capture. Now, whether or not the stock has options, for some of you more advanced traders, you may want to use options. For those of you who don't know anything about options, stay away from them. Okay. Double dividends, this is how well these stocks have performed when the dividend actually doubles. Okay, so instead of TYPE, instead of just collecting 11 cents, you have your target for the 22 cents and 100% of the times over the last 10 years. Is it guaranteed to do it again this year? No. This is just how well it has done in the past. Dividend on steroids, basically a little different strategy, but still based on the dividend payment. Okay, you buy it 10 days prior to the EX date. That's the day last traded before they pay the dividend. You add 2.5% to the purchase price as your target price. And this is how well it's performed over the past. Now, I don't ever do the dividend on steroids strategy unless it scores an 80% or better. Believe it or not, some weeks you don't get any dividend on steroids picks. But this one, we get quite a bit. Oh, by the way, there's 153 companies this week that we're looking at. Last week, we had 53 companies for the whole week. 53. This week, we have 153. So we're going to have a lot more choices this week, which means a lot more homework. Okay, so let's get to the new software. Now, most of you are going to see this new software looking like this. It can be a little confusing until you know what it is you're looking at. Let's go back up. Okay. You can put your stock symbols in here, hit the go button right there. And that's going to spit out 10 years worth of data. What kind of data? Well, let me go through the numbers for you. STT is basically the stock symbol. The 50, 75, 100 represents the percentage of the dividend. The dividend for this stock is 34 cents. 50% of the dividend would be 17 cents. Okay, so on average, how many days did it take to reach 50% of the dividend as a movement for your target price? That means 60.29 plus the 17 cents, that would be your new target price, or whatever the opening for the day is. Now this one, on one day, it always hits the 50%, 75% of the dividend, one day. If you want 100% of the dividend, you're looking at a little over a day. Okay? If I'm going to hold it all year, I'm going to get 2.26% yield. Okay, the average volume, the high for the year, the low for the year, and what it closed at. And here, 1 year, that is what the analysts are saying is the target price for the next year. It's not me, this is what the analysts are saying. Okay, so that's how to use it, how to read it. So let's see when you put it in, what you're going to get. This is what you usually end up with. Now, as you can see, there's some missing data. So let's quickly go over a few how to use this thing best. Okay, if your volume is way too low, get rid of it. If the yield is too low, get rid of it. If the dividend is not worth chasing, I don't want to chase a nickel, and it's not worth my time and effort. If there's missing data, it means this company doesn't have 10 years worth of historical performance continuous. It may have been paying out dividends, years ago, but I want continuous payments. Okay, so it's missing data, get rid of it. You get a couple of zeros, which means it doesn't hit our target, get rid of it. too many days? Do I really want to hold 10 days? I don't know. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. If it gets a little too close to the 10, I get rid of it. Okay, just hit the little X and that gets rid of it. Now, the second part of this software, click on the chart. So once you've got it down to what you're looking at, where you have nice volume, a nice yield, a nice dividend, the target price looks good, the stock price looks good, all that looks good, hit the chart. The chart's going to take you over to Yahoo Finance. And now it's preset to land on 10 years worth of the chart. So you can see 10 years ago what the stock was. As you can see here, this one was somewhere around $28 10 years ago. Now it's around 61. That sounds like a good trade to me, because 10 years from now, I would like to think that's going to be worth more than 68. Is it guaranteed? No, but it's usually a good trend to follow. Okay, now back to the software again. If we click on the S button right here, that's going to take us to a different section of the software. This is what I first came up with. It looks a little confusing, but let me explain it to you for a little bit. You put the date, which is usually preset with today's date. And here you put the stock symbol. Now you have two choices. You can plot a chart or you can plot the dividend. So let's go back one for a second. All right, this here is just plotting the dividend for the STT, and it shows you how it's performed over the last 10 years. Okay, 50% all average of 1 day, 75% average of 1 day, 100%. You got 1 day here and 1 day there that kind of threw you off. You're still looking at 1 day, less than 2 days in order to hit your target, which is not bad. The volume's nice, 5 million shares. The yield's not bad. The dividend's good. The 52-week high and low, not bad. You're somewhere in the middle at 60. This one doesn't have the 1 year target, which is okay. But let's go over here to the chart. It looks a little confusing, but it's really not. This line here represents the EX date, or the date that they pay the dividend. If you drag your mouse over a little bit, it will go 10 days prior to that date. So this is 10 days prior to the EX date. Now, this green line will represent the average. If you click on any one of these numbers here, the line that represents that year will highlight in dark blue. So give you an idea of what it did in 2015 or 2011. Okay? Now, go to the next chart, or plot a chart. Now here is where it gets really exciting. You can just put in any date whatsoever and see how the stock symbol reacted in this time frame based on the date. So if it says 12/17, 7, which is July 12th, 2016, it obviously doesn't tell you what it's going to do for 2016, but it will go to 2015, 2014, 2013 in that time frame. 10 days prior to and 90 days after. Why 90 days? Because we have this based for dividends, and it's usually 90 days between each dividend payment. Okay, well, that gives you a brief explanation how to use it. So if you guys can come up with any ideas on how to improve, how to make it better, if I'm missing any data that's important for your trading, please feel free to send me an email, and we will get our programmers on it and see if we can come up with something. This is James from the 10-Minute Trader, and money makes life easier. So have a great day.